Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Giver. It's going to be a big one, I think. Today we're going to do chapter 9, and yeah, chapter 8 was a moment, right? And now chapter 9 is going to be something I think really interesting. Let's just say that much. I haven't read ahead. I have not read ahead. I like to read it with you at the same time so you can see me go, and I feel like you can. Yeah, there we go. Now there's no reflection in my eye. But then I can't see. What to do? Okay, you're going to be reading, so it's okay. Here, I'll try and keep my head at an angle. Ready? Chapter 9, let's do this. Now, for the first time in his 12 years of life, Jonas felt separate, right? He didn't feel like part of the group. He's different now. Different. There you go. He remembered what the chief elder had said, that his training would be alone and apart. He's not part of the group. But his training had not yet begun, and already, upon leaving the auditorium, he felt the apartness. Oh, yeah, he's broken off now. He's not part of the 12s. Holding the folder she had given him, he made his way through the throng. Throng is a group of people. Looking for his family unit, still weird, right? Family unit. And for Asher. People moved aside for him. They watched him. He thought he could hear whispers. Ash, he called, spotting his friend near the row of bicycles. Ride back with me? Sure, Asher smiled, his usual smile, friendly and familiar. But Jonas felt a moment of hesitation. Hesitation. Yeah. Pause, right? He's like, yeah, just a little pause. From his friend, and uncertainty. Congratulations, Asher said. You too, Jonas replied. It was really funny when she told about the smacks. You got more applause than almost anybody else. The other... It's not a video with me if I don't go make a mistake, right? The other new 12s clustered, grouped nearby, placing their folders carefully into the carrying containers on the backs of their bikes. In each dwelling tonight, in each house, in each home, they would be studying the instructions for the beginning of their training. Each night for years, the children had remembered, the required lessons for school, often yawning, with boredom. Tonight, they would all begin eagerly to memorize the rules for their adult assignments. Congratulations, Asher, someone called. Then that hesitation again. You too, Jonas. People don't know what to do with him now. Asher and Jonas responded with congratulations to their group mates. Jonas saw his parents watching him from the place where their own bicycles were waiting. Lily had already been strapped into her seat. He waved. They waved back smiling, but he noticed that Lily was watching him solemnly, sadly, right? You're solemn when something bad happens. Her thumb in her mouth. Ooh, that's a coping thing. They suck their thumb when they're thinking or uncomfortable. He rode directly to his dwelling, exchanging only small jokes and unimportant remarks with Asher. See you in the morning, recreation director, right? He's calling him his new title. He called dismounting, getting off, dismounting by his door as Asher continued on. Right, see you, Asher called back. Once again, there was just a moment where things weren't quite the same, weren't quite as they had always been through the long friendship. Perhaps he had imagined it. Things couldn't change with Asher. The evening meal was quieter than usual. Lily chattered about her plans for volunteer work. She would begin, she said, at the nurturing center, since she was already an expert at feeding Gabriel. I know, she added quickly when her father gave her a warning glance. He's like, right? I won't mention his name. I know I'm not supposed to know his name. Oh. I can't wait for tomorrow to come, she said happily. Jonas sighed uneasily. He's uncomfortable, right? I can, he muttered. You've been greatly honored. You've been honored, his mother said. Your father and I are very proud. It's the most important job in the community, father said. But just the other night you said that the job of making assignments was the most important. Mother nodded. This is different. It's not a job. Really, I've never thought, never expected. She paused. There's only one receiver. It's not a job, right? It's not a job. He's not washing dishes. He's not a manager. This is the receiver, something very serious. But the chief elder said that they had made, felt good, right? Said that they had made, blend it. A selection before, and that it failed. What was she talking about? Both of his parents hesitated. There it is again, hesitating. Finally, his father described the previous selection. It was very much as it was today, Jonas. The same suspense. What's going to happen, right? As 111 had been passed over when the assignments were given. Then the announcement when they singled out the one. Jonas interrupted. What was his name? His mother replied, her, not his. It was a female, but we are never to speak the name or use it again for a new child. Dang. Whoa. Jonas was shocked. A name designated, so told, explicitly said. That wasn't really any easier. Not to be spoken. Indicated, showed, the highest degree of disgrace. Whoa, so if it's a name, you've done something so bad, we never use your name again. That's crazy. But what happened to her? He asked nervously. But his parents looked blank. We don't know. His father said uncomfortably, we never saw her again. A silence fell over the room. They looked at each other. Finally, his mother, rising from the table, said, you've been greatly honored, Jonas, greatly honored. Why do they keep saying honor? This is weird again, right? It's always just a little weird. It's never like, oh, I get what's going on in this story. It's more like, yeah. Alone in his sleeping room, prepared for bed, Jonas opened his folder at last. Some of the other 12s he had noticed had been given folders thick with printed pages. He imagined Benjamin, the scientific male in his group, beginning to read the pages of rules and instructions with relish, excitement, relish. He's relishing. He's like, ooh, I'm excited. He pictured Fiona smiling her gentle smile as she bent over the lists of duties and methods that she would be required to learn in the days to come. But his own folder was startlingly, surprisingly, right, close to empty. Inside there was only a single printed sheet. He read it twice. Jonas, receiver of memory. Number 1. Go immediately at the end of school hours each day to the annex entrance behind the house of the old and present yourself to the attendant. Number 2. Go immediately to your dwelling at the conclusion of training hours each day. So school finishes, boom, to work. Finished, boom, home. No in-betweens. Number 3. From this moment, you are exempted, so he doesn't have to, from rules. Whoa, you're exempted from rules governing rudeness. You may ask any question of any citizen, and you will receive answers. So he doesn't have to be polite now. Whoa. Number 4, do not discuss your training with any other member of the community, including parents and elders. Wow, this is a real big secret. Number 5, from this moment, you are prohibited, forbidden, from dream telling. Oh, remember that weird thing that they do at home? Every day they tell about their dreams from that night? Now he doesn't have to. Number 6, except for illness or injury unrelated to your training, right? So if he gets hurt in his training, that doesn't count. Do not apply for any medication. What? So if he gets hurt riding his bike, he can get medication. But if he gets hurt in his training, he can't get medicine. Number 7, you are not permitted to apply for release. That means he can't quit. Number 8, you may lie. That's a weird one to end on, right? Jonas was stunned. What would happen to his friendships, his mindless hours playing ball or riding his bike along the river? Those had been happy and vital times for him, so they were important. Were they to be completely taken from him now? The simple logistic instructions, right? Just simple, there's no feeling behind it. Do this, do this, do this. Where to go and when were expected. Every 12 had to be told, of course, where and how and when to report for training. But he was a little dismayed. Like, wow, this is disappointing, right? That his schedule left no time, apparently, for recreation. The exemption from rudeness startled him. Reading it again, however, he realized that it didn't tell him, right, to be rude. It simply allowed him the option. He was quite certain that he would never take advantage of it. He was so thoroughly accustomed, used to, courtesy. So he was so used to being nice. He's like, I can't be rude. Accustomed to courtesy within the community, that the thought of asking another citizen an intimate question, of calling someone's attention to an area of awkwardness was unnerving. So he's uncomfortable with this. He has this permission, this privilege to do this, but he's like, it feels weird. The prohibition, so forbidden again, of dream telling, he thought, would not be a real problem. He dreamed so rarely that the dream telling did not come easily to him anyway, and he was glad to be excused from it. He wondered briefly, though, how to deal with it at the morning meal. What if he did dream? Should he simply tell his family unit, as he did so often, anyway, that he hadn't? So he's been lying that he doesn't have dreams. That would be a lie. Still, the final rule said, Well, he wasn't quite ready to think about the final rule on that page. The restriction of medication unnerved him. That'd scare me too, right? Medication was always available to citizens, even to children, through their parents. When he had crushed his finger in the door, he had quickly, gasping into the speaker, notified his mother that he... Sentences are weird. When he had crushed his finger in the door, he had quickly, gasping into the speaker, notified his mother. She had hastily requisitioned, requisitioned, she got it. Relief of pain medication, which had promptly been delivered to his dwelling. Almost instantly, the excruciating pain, so it was crazy painful, super bad, right? Excruciating, super bad. Pain in his hand had diminished to the throb, which was now all he could recall from the experience. Rereading rule number 6, he realized that a crushed finger fell into the category of unrelated to training, like I said a minute ago. So if it ever happened again, and he was quite certain it wouldn't, he had been very careful near heavy doors since the accident, he could still receive medication. The pill he took now each morning was also unrelated to training, so he would continue to receive the pill. So he doesn't have the stirrings. Okay. But he remembered uneasily what the chief elder had said about the pain that would come with his training. She had called it indescribable. Yeah, it's kind of scary. Jonas swallowed hard, trying without success to imagine what such pain might be like with no medication at all. But it was beyond his comprehension. He just couldn't imagine it. He felt no reaction to rule number 7 at all. It had never occurred to him that under any circumstances ever, he might apply for release. So he never imagined he'd quit. Finally, he steeled himself to read the final rule again. He had been trained since earliest childhood, since his earliest learning of language, never to lie. It was an integral, super important part, right? Integral part of the learning of precise speech. Once, when he had been a 4, he had said, just prior to the midday meal at school, "I'm starving." Immediately, he had been taken aside for a brief private lesson in language precision. He was not starving. It was pointed out he was hungry. No one in the community was starving, had ever been starving, would ever be starving. To say starving was to speak a lie, an unintentional lie. He didn't mean to lie. But of course, an unintentional lie, of course. But the reason for precision of language was to ensure that unintentional lies would never be uttered. Did he understand that? They asked him, and he had. So they want you to be very specific, very careful with your language so you don't actually lie by accident. He had never, within his memory, been tempted to lie. Asher did not lie. Lily did not lie. His parents did not lie. No one did, unless... Now, Jonas had a thought that he had never had before. This new thought was frightening. What if others, adults, had, upon becoming 12s, received in their instructions the same terrifying sentence? What if they had all been instructed, "You may lie"? His mind reeled. Now empowered to ask questions of utmost rudeness and promised answers, he could conceivably, though it was almost unimaginable, ask someone, some adult, his father perhaps, "Do you lie?" But he would have no way of knowing if the answer he received were true. Jonas has some serious power, huh? What do you think of that? We got some questions here, and it's kind of, wow, you know? There it is. That was a big thing. I'm really worried about that medication. It makes me curious. Like, why? Why can't he have medicine? What is going to happen? So let's take a look at our questions for this chapter. Now, we don't want to go too long, right? Question number 1. Why do you think Jonas's parents hesitated to tell him about the last receiver? Why do you think they did that? Number 2. Why do you think the last instruction for Jonas's new job was permission to lie? What do you think? Why is he going to use that? Why does he need that? He needs it. That was a rule. Number 3. Why do you think he was exempt from dream telling? There has to be a reason, you know? There's very little written in his instructions, but that was written. And number 4. Why do you think Jonas is no longer allowed medication? Yeah, what do you think? It's kind of weird. Like, uh-oh, something real bad's going to happen and you must suffer. So let me know what you think. Write your answers on a separate piece of paper if there's not enough room. Remember, you can get this worksheet on the website. Just click the link down below and save it, you know. Save the picture, print it out, and yeah, you're ready to go. I will see you for chapter 10, where we find out more. I'm curious what's going to happen. We're not even halfway through the book yet, and already it's more weird than it was. Yeah, more weird than it was. But at least now, it's interesting. Before it was just weird and weird, right? But now it's weird and, but why? What's going to happen? We have lots of questions. So I'll see you for chapter 10. Bye.